Hello, my name is Raymond Matlala, Y20 South Africa Chair, and you are tuned into the NepoXchange podcast. This time last year, if you said to me you'd be the chair of Y20, I would say you are crazy. I would laugh at you because that has never been my intention or my plans. We need a strong leader that's going to lead the vision, but also defend the priorities of the South Africa's presidency. Oh, wow. What an interesting question.
I know, right?
Is how do we have an integrated Africa? Africa is the richest continent in the world,
of course,
yet the poorest. Mam Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma always likes to say, when you are exporting raw materials, you are exporting profit and you are exporting employment. A Y20 Council is able now to hold governments accountable.
Yeah.
This year alone, reached over 10,000 young people in South Africa for the first time.
Wow.
And this is a starting point. No, absolutely. I mean, and I'm going to be a little bit controversial here. So youth in the continent are starting to realize their power. It will be dire if South Africa is the only country, in the continent that progresses. So
True.
we have to collectively progress together.
Hey guys, welcome to Nepoworx podcast, where we amplify voices shaping our future. I'm Yvette, your favorite host, and welcome. Before we begin, please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button below. And today we are taking a closer look at global platforms where youth are put at the center of international decision making, the Youth 20. And today, to help us unpack that and understand what it all means, we are joined here by the chairperson of Y20 South Africa, Mr. Raymond Matlala. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Yvette. How are you?
I am good, thanks. How are you?
I'm alive. I'm good.
Yeah.
Just need a little bit of sleep.
Of course.
But otherwise, I'm good.
I heard this is your first time doing podcast.
Yes. Yeah, I've done TV interviews and others, but podcast, no.
I'm glad to be your first. When I went through your bio, I was quite intrigued and I couldn't memorize it. So I'm just going to read it to the audience so that they get a glimpse of who you are. So Raymond Matlala is the chairperson of Y20 South Africa, a platform that represents the voices of young people within the G20 process. With over a decade of experience in youth leadership and policy advocacy, Raymond has played a pivotal role in advancing Africa's youth agenda on global stages, including BRICS and G20 forums. He's deeply passionate about economic inclusion, digital innovation, and climate action, and continues to champion meaningful participation of young Africans in decision-making process. You've done a lot. You wear too many hats.
Yeah, I guess I do.
Yeah, you do. I was one of the people that found out what Y20 was about when I heard that I was supposed to interview a Raymond Matlala. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know anything about Y20 nor G20, but I've seen billboards across South Africa saying G20 this, G20 that, and the government is trying to fix our roads and infrastructure just to prepare for it. What is G20?
Well, G20 is a group of 20, and in that group of 20 is basically countries that are developed and developing countries that came together, and at the time it was to resolve or to come up with solutions for the collapse of the global financial when we hit the first recession. So. It consists of 19 countries. And the reason it was G20, it was 19 countries and the European Union as a bloc. And during the India's chairship, then the African Union was also added as a permanent member of G20. So it's now 21, but it still maintained the name, the G20. But basically is a group of these countries and these two blocs that are trying to, started off trying to resolve some of the financial crisis when we hit the financial crisis in the late 90s.
All right. Now that I got a glimpse of what the G20 is about, I also like how this conversation is flowing, and I can see you're already warm and the sit is like hugging you. But I would like to just start with some icebreakers to make you more comfortable. Yeah. So this one is called This or That, or as you know it's called a quick fire. That's what influencers do it. Do you know anything about quick fires?
I have no idea about what quickfire is. I've heard the word influencer, but yeah.
So it's just icebreakers. We just ask you a couple of questions just to know a little bit more about you. Okay. So the first one is global stage or community impact?
Community impact.
Yeah, me too. We have so much alike. Policy drafting or grassroots activism?
Grassroots.
Ooh, okay. Books or podcast?
Podcast.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like reading books.
Oh, okay. I thought I was the only one. And I always get like the side looks that I'm
Best
not like.
Believe, I don't like reading books.
Is it?
I wrote my thesis without touching a book using electronic books because I'm very bad.
So you can read a book, just not like the physical copy.
The physical copy, yeah.
Okay, I get you. But we use ChatGPT to summarize everything, so we don't even read either, so you're not the only one. And early mornings or late nights?
Late nights.
Okay, I'm a bit of both. I do like waking up early, and maybe doing late night works. It works perfectly fine for me.
No. For me, it doesn't work. I mean, like, I slept this morning at 4, so...
Oh, okay. No, it makes sense.
I would rather sleep at 4 than to wake up at 4 or 5.
Okay, makes sense. So the other segment that we have is called Two Truths and a Lie. So you will tell me 3 things about you. 2 things have to be the truth, and 1 of them has to be a lie. So I will have to guess. You know, this will also prove that I've done my research, but also your bio on the internet is just like, Y20 this, Y20 that, Y20 this. So I don't know much about you, but you can try me.
Okay, let's see. I headed up the Y20 delegation to the G7.
Give me 2 more things, and then I'll tell you which one is the truth and which one is a lie. So it has to be 2 truths, and one of them has to be a lie.
Okay. And I am currently a PhD candidate, and I am also currently the chair of Civil Council, of BRICS Civil Council in South Africa, which was recently endorsed by heads of states in Russia.
Okay. So I'd say A and B are correct, and the last one is incorrect.
So no, the first one is incorrect, and yes, A and B, B and C are correct.
Okay, hit me with another one. Maybe I might get this one right.
Okay, let's see. I have a wife.
Okay.
And I am from the Eastern Cape, and I have 2 beautiful babies.
I want to say, just do this a bit, just like flash your hands on me. I want to see something.
Okay, here are my hands.
I want to assume you don't have a wife because you're not wearing a ring. So the first statement was incorrect.
I do have a wife.
Wow. Okay, now I think maybe you have to start. What is the definition of a wife if you're not wearing a ring?
I mean, many men, a ring doesn't symbolize marriage. So,
okay.
You know, for us as Africans, marriage is that there's lobola and there's a ceremony, and that has been celebrated by the 2 families, and that becomes a wife.
Ah, okay.
Not a white wedding.
Not a white wedding. Okay, got that.
That is a cherry on top.
So we started off this conversation really good, and I already got my 2 wrongs. It's fine. We already see who's the champion here. So another segment is called Ticket List. What is one ambition within or beyond youth diplomacy you still want to kick off in your life?
Oh, wow. What an interesting question.
I know, right? Yeah.
Look, for me, really is the mainstreaming of youth and the establishment of a permanent or institutionalization of Y20. So that it's something that I still want to push, especially during our remainder of the presidency for South Africa, because once we lose that, it goes to the United States of America, and there's a lot of uncertainties what's going to happen there. So
yeah, true. Okay, that's a very interesting one. And then another one is called the common misconception. Youth sometimes feel politics is just noise and not change. Do you agree?
Look, I agree.
Okay.
And it depends on how you define politics. Because even some of the work that we do would be considered as politics. The work that we do in BRICS, because BRICS is a political formation, the work that we do in G20, G20 is a political formation.
It is.
But a lot of politics, I mean, we're seeing a lot happening now in the ad hoc committee and, in the Madlanga Commission there's just noise.
Yeah, it is.
And there's no action.
There's no action.
And that's the feeling of youth. And that is why South African youth have made a decision to abstain from voting. Because they believe that why do they need to go and vote? But what they do not know is them not voting, it's actually a predicament for them, because whoever that goes to the polls and put in their cross, it gives that particular in a party or individual within the party that you may not necessarily want. That if you had casted your vote, they would have lost whatever percentages that were lost. So that is the feeling of youth, young people in South Africa. And when I look at this, it's also a continental problem.
It is.
In fact, the continent is quite, youth in the continent, it's quite depressing for them that there's a huge belief that the continent in the country are skewed, if I may put it that way. So the politics in the country are not, in the continent, are not for the people.
Yeah, but I also think because I'm also within the age group, and I'm one of those people that didn't go and vote, but mainly because of one reason. So it could be that one, there's really long queues when you go and vote. And two, we already knew that the ANC was going to take the cup. So there's no change when the ANC is in lead, because they still, apparently, this is not my statement, but apparently they're still counting votes from the 19 Banbani from our grandmothers. That's why the votes just, from DA or EFF just never go beyond ANC.
Look, and that is wrong in my view. It's not factual. As researchers, we work on facts, but we also make assumptions, right? Yeah. So you did not vote because already you knew that ANC is going to win. But look at what happened.
Yeah, true.
In the last election. The political landscape of South Africa is dynamic, and it's constantly changing. Imagine if those young people, including yourself,
including myself,
who had gone to vote, they would have picked up a few votes to one of the smaller parties, which takes down whatever ANC, if people don't want the ANC, votes a little bit down. Yeah. And takes the seats in parliament, the allocation of seats in parliament, their seats will reduce, and therefore they would not have sufficient seats and votes in parliament to pass certain things. Yeah. Let me give you an example with Palapala. Palapala came into this administration, the 7th administration in parliament, ANC knowing that they do not enjoy a majority in parliament. It was going to be tough for them. We might have seen a different outcome of Palapala through the through parliament vote.
Yeah, no, you are here for me. And I did say at the beginning of this interview, when we're off camera, that I will ask you a lot because I think things have changed, and the way we consume information, and also how most of these politic things are presented in our eyes. It's not as interesting as watching a vlog or an influencer doing some TikTok stuff. It's so easy to just scroll. It's like almost like our focus span is very shortened to a point where we can't watch the news for a good 15 minutes. So maybe we also need to look at maybe getting more youth people to represent what politics are and educate other youth members on what politics are all about. And maybe this conversation would have gone way better.
No, absolutely. I mean, and I'm going to be a little bit controversial here. Let's look at Burkina Faso. Yet unconstitutional takeover through a military coup, which, in my view, it was necessary for the country, but led by a young man with a cabinet that is also intergenerational. And look what is happening there. Young people are making significant change in the political landscape.
Yeah.
It is, and it goes with civic education.
Yes.
In South Africa, we call it voter education. That we need to empower people to understand what does that mean, so that young people also go into politics for betterment of the communities.
I like that. So let's just jump right into our questions. So the first question that I have for you is, you've been involved in youth diplomacy since 2012 and now serve as a chair of Y20 South Africa. What was the turning point that made you commit into leading into the space? But before we get there, I realized that when I was searching for your bio, there's nothing about your background. We don't know where you were born, which school you've went to. And I do think there's a lot of people that are more interested in knowing your background. So we can start with knowing exactly where you were born and who you are.
No, thanks for that question. So I was born in Hammanskraal.
Okay.
In a very popular hospital called Jubilee Hospital in Hammanskraal.
We know it all.
Yeah, so that's where I was born. I was raised there. I mean, the first 4 years of my life in school in particular. I went to Fatloham Primary School, somewhere in Stimvater, and then I went to live with my mother. There I was living with my grandparents. So I'm a spoiled
brat.
Not brat. I'm just a spoiled young child. So then I went to Mukonyama Primary School. What was tricky is that when I was at my grandparents, I mean, it's like 15, 20 minutes drive, right?
Okay.
It was Northwest, so I was doing Swan and Afrikaans. And then when I went to live with my mom, we lived in Mandela Village, which then at the time, it was one of the very few that was falling under Gauteng. And we did Spady there. And then we didn't have a high school. We would have to jump the street to get to Northwest to go to high school.
Oh.
And then I went to Skululegile, and then we were doing back to Swan and Afrikaans. And that is why I don't... you asked me about languages, and I said I'm a generalist.
Because yes.
Also growing in Hammanskraal and the transition of Setswana, Spady, and Setswana.
Yeah. But they interlinked. They're not so different, are they?
They interlinked, but if you were to speak, I could tell that, you are Tswana or you are Pedi.
Or
Sotho. Or Sotho.
Sotho is more complex. Yeah.
but essentially, that was my upbringing and primary schooling. So I grew up in Hammanskraal, and then I went to university in Pretoria, TUT in particular. Yeah.
So did you see yourself, being the chairman of the Y20 back in the days?
No, I didn't even know whether this thing existed. But even when I knew, I mean, last year, which month is it now? October.
October.
Last year, October. If this time last year, if you said to me you'd be the chair of Y20, I would say you're crazy. I would laugh at you, because that has never been my intention or my plans. But it was something that when there was a vacuum of leadership, people in the sector, including some people in senior government officials, said we need a leader in the space. I had to consult with myself, with my wife, and and my team.
Yeah.
And essentially, a decision was made, I think, early December that, okay, it's fine, I'll take up the role. But I had no intentions of being the chair of Y20.
Is it? Okay, so maybe take us through the process of just becoming a part of the Y20. How do you register? How do you get a hold of that type of information?
Yeah, look, it's and I want to take it a step back, right? So the first Y20 was in 2010.
Okay.
South Africa was represented by one person.
Okay.
Her name is Tribute Mboweni.
Okay.
And upon returning, she then took it upon herself to establish an organization called the South African Youth for International Diplomacy, in which then recruits and train South Africans to attend official Y20 summits. At the time, we still call them G20 youth summits. And that's how I got involved through that organization.
Okay.
But the process really there's an open call.
Okay.
And I must also say it's quite limited to the network.
Okay.
So that open call would be done through social media platforms.
Okay.
Young South Africans will then send an application. There will be interviews. There will be that whole criteria, videos, and all of that, interviews. And once you've met the requirements, then you then get selected to be the official South African delegate to Y20.
And what are the requirements?
Look, it depends, right? So, for example, the first thing we look at the experience.
Okay.
You at least need to have experience in negotiations, because it's tough there.
It is.
It's very tough. Yeah. I mean, the fact that we're sitting here without a communique tells you something. But also, we also look at your experience in that particular thematic area that you're going to be representing. So you can't come from a background of being a scientist and we think that you're going to represent South Africa in entrepreneurship. So we look at that. And of course, we look at the age. But what we also look at is to get people from different provinces.
Okay.
We also look at, as South Africa is a rainbow nation, we also look at the race there, that it becomes a mixed race, so it's not one race. So those are some of the requirements that we would look at to make or to select the delegation. Okay,
now I know. So our first question, thank you so much for that background. Now I know, you're from PTA, and you went to school there and how you got to become a chairperson of the Y20. So you've been involved in youth diplomacy since 2012 and now serve as a chair of Y20 South Africa. What is the turning point that made you commit to this leading into this leading space?
I mean, this leading space in broadly from previous years or just this year?
Just this year.
Look, the turning point was that vacuum of leadership. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Honestly, I wouldn't have been here.
Yeah.
But when I reflected back and with the experience that I have about what happens in this process, one of the key things we wanted to own the South African presidency. And you needed a tough leader to push back on some of the powerful nations on the bloc.
Yeah.
Because what we've seen as an experience is that the G7 in particular, let me put it that way, not all of them, but some of them, most of them, they would want to control how you run your presidency. And this is the first Africa's presidency in the African soil.
Wow.
And the next one would probably come after 20 years. Right? So you want to ensure that Global South and Africa and South Africa's priorities are top of the agenda. Because if not, then this is not for the Global South continent and the South African youth. So that beside that, that was the only reason or what determining factor that made me make this decision that we need a strong leader that's going to lead the vision, but also defend the priorities of the South Africa's presidency.
Okay. With that being said, so this year, I heard that you guys didn't reach a consensus. As the leader of the Y20, how are you? Did you get any harsh comments after that you couldn't, lead us, as you have thoroughly mentioned that you needed a strong leader to lead this thing, but without the how do you call it?
Some call it communique, some call it communique. So
communique. Let's go with that one. So with that being said, how does that make you feel as a leader of the Y20?
Look, I must be honest, it was a difficult decision to make, but we had to make that decision.
Yeah.
It was a matter of principle. So when we started this presidency, we've communicated to everyone that we have two high-level priorities with one supplementary high-level priority or deliverable. And those two high-level priorities was the establishment of the Y20 Council, which then becomes a permanent mechanism that would be able to look at three things in the main: continuity, implementation of the policy recommendations that comes from this communique, as well as the tracking and monitoring and reporting of these policy recommendations. And subsequent to that, there was a lot of pushback from some member states. And that pushback was not on the principle that this is not a good idea. Everyone agrees that this is a good idea. The only way we differ is there is a group of alumni that are dominated by the Global North. And that group of alumni, we call it an exclusive elite group that want to maintain the status quo of Y20, which remains in their little corners. You said it yourself when you begin this, that you did not know Y20.
Yes, I didn't.
And it's one of the fundamental issues that I personally have been arguing for, let alone understanding. But can we create awareness of what this thing is and how does it impact your life? Because the decisions that are taken at the G20 in particular, they affect
they affect all of us, yes.
Because G20 member states accounts for 85% of the global GDP. So now when there was no valid reason on the pushback, but protection of an elite group, we thought that this is not the right way to go. We cannot maintain this status quo because it's not working. And why are we saying it's not working? Y20 is the oldest engagement group. This year, Y20 celebrates 15 years of existence.
Wow.
In that 15 years, it has produced 14 communiques with over 300, 400 policy recommendations. None of those have been implemented.
Are you kidding?
I'm telling you the truth. And yet, people are saying, why do you want to create a permanent structure? To do what? because there is an OC, they call them the organizing committees. There is an OC, which is the custodian of Y20 in these countries. But when you even look at the OC configuration, it's not even, there's no mandate. They've got no mandate. For example, you have at C20, you have the International Advisory Council. It is in the communique that it is a recognized mechanism for C20. As a result, the members of that International Advisory Council are able to communicate with other governments on behalf of the C20. But OC is not able to communicate with other governments on behalf of Y20. That's one.
Yeah.
The second thing is not all countries have got a recognition of the OC structure. China, Russia, Brazil recently, in India recently. It's only a selective few. Even Australia, the United States, and France. That those structures are not recognized by their respective governments. Now, if you're not working with governments and you don't have recognition from government, how do you think these policy recommendations are going to be implemented? By who?
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. So we're saying, can we then have a permanent structure? We were not even married to the name, but we were saying, let's have a permanent mechanism. Can be a secretariat or OC or council. It doesn't matter. We put it on the communique. And the only thing that we're asking the Y20 heads of states in the declaration is we need only 3 liners. In those 3 liners, and that is the third policy recommendation, in those 3 liners, you need to endorse the establishment of the Y20 Council. Then when we go to governments, Y20 Council is able now to hold governments accountable, to lobby and advocate for the implementation at a domestic level of the Y20 recommendations. Otherwise, symbolic, talk show, ceremonial. Some of the heads of delegations brought their special pens because they wanted to sign a communique that is ceremonial. And I said, but why would we need the 15th communique that's not going to have any outcomes, any impact at all?
No implementation.
So that's why we sit here and don't have a communique. But I must also say that there was sufficient consensus in the tracks. The 5 tracks that we did: employment, inclusive economic development, AI, education, future of work, the reform of multilateralism. They had agreed on what are some of the policy recommendations there. And then that was then elevated to us as the Sherpas and the heads of delegations to finalize it. It only came to a stand. I mean, the first negotiation item was gender. As you may know, that gender is a very controversial topic in the global stage. We spent 3.5 hours debating the language for gender to be put on the communique. The second item was the Y20 Council. And people they were not even willing to have a debate, negotiate. What they subjected that high-level delivery of South Africa was to a vote. And we said, I mean, this becomes our red line.
Wow.
And negotiations collapsed.
Wow. You spoke about a lot of things that goes into the communique, and one of the questions that I have for you today is, when South Africa assumed the Y20 presidency, you emphasized that this is not just South Africa's Y20, it's Africa's Y20. What does that perspective mean in practice?
Look, in practice, it means that the conceptualization of Y20 priorities are not only South Africa focused, one, but also the the planning and the policy directions that South Africa will be taking would be in line with that of our counterparts at the African Union. But also practically it means that Africa actively participating in the negotiations, in the chairing or co-chairing of the tracks. So we engaged the African Union. There was names that were submitted. It was unfortunate that the names were submitted late. One, I think that was the first key thing. But also two, there was a lack of understanding of the process. And because of that late submission and joining of the negotiations, because the negotiations started in May. And we had online negotiations that then will build up to draft zero. And we only got or received African Union's names, delegations around about July. Right. So obviously the contribution there was not significant. And also the track chairs that we had appointed from the African Union to also, because as a track chair, you guide the discussion, you moderate the discussion. So they were also not able to participate fully for other reasons that they may have. But it was good that at the summit, although the initial delegation from Addis couldn't make it, but we had conversations between Addis and Johannesburg with one of the agencies of the African Union, and there was a delegation on the ground which contributed to the last debates and negotiations on the policy recommendations that have been agreed by the track delegates. So that's what we meant by that active participation of the African participation. And we intentionally looked at African Union because it's one of the structures, right? I know there are others that exist, but it's one of the structures that have got the infrastructure, the continuity, as well as it's also stable. We know that the information is not just going to end there with that particular organization or individual, but it's going to spread. And then lastly, it was around involving them in the working groups. So we were intentional about radical inclusiveness of the Y20 South Africa process. And we had them, some of the ordinary citizens of South Africa, of the continent, joining the working groups and participating actively. And in actual fact, we even, from that, there was an organization in Kenya that was very active, that we even established a relationship with them because of how active they were within the process.
So I always get the saying that South Africa is doing better than most of these countries. So I'm pretty much glad that you are involving other African countries to come and participate, to have a voice at least on this one. And, at least we could have a change, not only that impacts South Africa, but, Africa as a continent. So
look, it will be dire if South Africa progress is the only country in the continent that progresses. That will create problems.
Sure.
For South Africa and the continent at large. So we have to collectively progress together. And I hear what you're saying. I have colleagues now that are in Uganda for the Africa something youth thing, and upon arrival, one of them said, ANC is doing good.
It's always the case.
And I said to her, you need to compare apples with apples. So ANC is doing good when you go to Africa, but when you go to Europe, it's not doing
something
good.
Else.
So we need to look at how we think about some of those things and how do we take along our African brothers and sisters through their countries, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, we are glad. In your role, you sit at the intersection of youth, policy, and global forums. How do you ensure what happens in the international spaces filters down meaningfully to youth, internships, and underdeserved areas? I think you also said something about that within your lines, but you can further expand on that one.
Yeah, look, again, I mean, if I look at the Y20 South Africa process alone, that we've tried our best. So what we've been doing is, for the first time, Y20 South Africa, or at least over 10,000 people in South Africa became aware of Y20. We then opened up a call for people to be engaged in the working groups.
Okay.
We received over 2,000 applications, and those are not only individuals. Those are community-based organizations, NGOs, and other organizations, grassroots organizations. I think of that, about 600, 800 of them were organizations, and another 1,200 or so were individuals. And all of those people were incorporated to be part of Y20. But not only did we leave it there, we also partnered with other partners to do provincial outreaches, also provincial activations. As I speak to you, the co-chair of Y20 is in Mpumalanga.
Okay.
Doing an outreach with the G20 Education Working Group. So we've done those outreaches in 5 provinces now to date. We also did another outreaches in 5 provinces with SAYA. And we've also been doing a lot of work. I mean, last week it was also the Pan-African Parliament that we also had those engagements. We've done engagement with universities, in particular Wits, UJ, and we've always said to the public that if you have a space or if you have a platform that you want Y20 to come and speak about the Y20 process, please do invite us. I think this year alone, we've reached just on a reach, we've reached over 10,000 young people in South Africa for the first time.
Wow.
And this is a starting point. As we close up the Y20 in November, during the social summit, we're also going to announce the plans to keep it in South Africa.
Okay.
Yes, we did not win to get it recognized from an international stage, but we still want to maintain the continuity of Y20 and active participation of young people. It's not enough, and I think it's a start. And maybe if you ask me after 3-5 years, I can give you a better picture, but I think it's a good start now.
I will. I have you on my Instagram. I'll just DM you and I'm like, remember 5 years ago. You keep mentioning the working groups. What goes into the working groups? What do you mean by that?
So Y20 had 5 thematic areas.
Okay.
And those 5 thematic areas, we call them working groups.
Okay.
Some call them task forces, some call them whichever name. We call them working groups.
Okay.
And that is the foundation of the communique. So that is the foundation of the policy recommendations.
Okay.
So the working group fits into, so there's a delegate who is the official negotiator of South Africa for that theme.
Okay.
Delegate work with the structures, with the technical working groups and the working groups themselves.
Okay.
To feed and pressure test what the delegate will do research and all of that and put a position paper, and then it will be interrogated by the working group members. You're talking about just transition, and you're saying South Africa is committing to as South Africa, we should commit to achieve net zero by 2030. It's impossible based on the livelihood of people. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what is on the ground.
Okay.
We think that this would be much a better approach, and that then becomes a discussion and incorporated into that. So that's the main purpose of the working group, is to ensure that whatever that finds itself in the communique, it has been it's not Raymond's view, but there's
been a due diligence, to prove so that it's factual, as you said, that everything is just factual.
But besides being factual, but also when we talk, for example, when we talk about education and AI, what does that mean for an ordinary citizen who is in rural KZ and rural Eastern Cape, Limpopo and so forth? So we want their views to ensure that we don't leave anyone behind when we then put these policies, because our intention is to ensure that we implement those policies. If the previous chairs, the 14 chairs, there was to have a symbolic communique with special pens to sign, that's not our aim.
Wow. So you also lead the South African BRICS Youth Association and other youth institutions. How do you manage aligning multiple youth platforms and avoiding fragmentation?
Look, it's the same thing. It's just the concept of G20, BRICS, AU, Model UN. So it's the same thing. But most of it, again, so my role at the South African BRICS Youth Association, everything sits under that. So my role as the chair of Y20, it's a deployment from the South African Youth BRICS Association. And any other platform that I participate in, my role as the lead of Civil BRICS Council in South Africa, it's a deployment from the South African Youth Association. So the South African Youth Association becomes the body or the institution that then deploys me into this. So it does not become fragmented.
Oh, so it's not so different.
It's not so different. It's just a deployment, and of course it will add more responsibilities on my shoulders, and I would need additional 3 hours in the 24 hours that we have, which I don't know where I would have to get it from. But essentially, everything else comes through the South African BRICS Youth Association. I also say to people that say, no, we want to invite you to be on our board in your personal capacity. I said, I don't take anything outside of the South African BRICS Youth Association because I don't have the capacity. Because once it's within the South African BRICS Youth Association, I'm able to even designate or delegate someone else to do it on my behalf. I'll give you a practical example. I also chair the BRICS Chamber of Commerce South African chapter. At the time of my appointment in 2022 there, I was appointed in my individual capacity. And now recently, in the last few months, I said to the president, I said, I would like to recall my appointment as an individual, but you invite the South African BRICS Youth Association, and now we've recruited someone that will then focus on that component, which is the Economic and Social Development Department, a new department which we've put led by a new director. So that's how I'm able to get. That's how they are not fragmented, and I'm able to handle all of them.
Oh wow. You've given us a lot of insights today, and I'm learning and I'm taking notes. So we are almost done, but I just have a few questions. When you think about the future of youth leadership in Africa, what gives you hope and what keeps you up at night?
What gives me hope is I think young people in the continent are starting to face the reality. I think also social media is helping.
It is.
Because mainstream media, we didn't know what's happening. But now with your TikToks and authentic, the term that you use when things are not edited.
It's raw.
Raw. It's raw.
Yes.
Right? Look at what happened in Kenya when youth revolted and took a stance against the government for introducing law that will increase their taxes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Look at Burkina Faso. A young, bold soldier said, this is... So youth in the continent are starting to realize their power. What keeps me awake, we still have a lot of challenges in the continent, is how do we have an integrated Africa? Because Africa is the richest continent in the world,
of course,
yet the poorest.
And what makes you think we are the poorest? Do you think maybe we're not utilizing the resources that we have, or maybe we're just underestimating our power?
It's clear. We are exporting raw material and we import finished goods. In fact, Mam Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma always likes to say, when you are exporting raw materials, you are exporting profit and you are exporting employment.
True.
And this is what we are doing as a continent. And we need to think back. Look what is happening in France now. It clearly shows that the French economy was reliant on the three countries in West Africa that now chased France outside of their countries and retained or stopped exporting their minerals. France government has collapsed. Has collapsed. Resignations of 3 PMs in the last year. So it really shows you that we are we really need to think critically about how we use the continental mineral resources.
Yeah, but I also think maybe we don't have the skills. And I think one of the ideas that I had back in the days would be, I know China is big on production. So one of the reasons that I had in my mind, I'm like, why doesn't the South African government, if they feel like maybe they can't upskill their people, they could have like a number of people that they send to China to go learn skills and come back and produce, so that we get to sell things for China and France and, the United States of America and other countries.
For everything you do, you have to be intentional. And I would beg to differ a little bit with you when you say we don't have skills.
Oh, they're only beginning now.
If you look at even the best innovations, the best surgeon to do a heart transplant, a head transplant, they're all black. Are you saying we don't have agricultural skills in the continent?
We do, but I just don't think we have the heart for it.
It's intention.
Yeah.
It's not. It has nothing to do with heart. Do you think we don't have the skills to manufacture a car in the continent?
I think it's only getting better now because there's internet.
No. But ISCO has been manufacturing vehicles and planes for the military.
Is it? Oh wow! I must really live under the rock. Look who's informed now.
Now, it's just there is no intention.
There's no intention
for us to get out of this misery. Once there's an intention and there's a political will, we should be out of here.
Yeah.
In no time.
And what can we then do to make people
just
more
a practical example? Sorry, and I will keep making this. Look at Burkina Faso. Look how thriving it is, building hospitals, schools, roads, internal capacity, no foreign agencies.
Yeah.
Using domestic minerals to do so.
Okay, I get you. You win again. But I do think a lot of people, especially now, I think a lot of South Africans are becoming entrepreneurs, which is good. It's just, I do think there has to just be a push for people to start being more skillful to start producing from scratch, if that's the thing.
That's a podcast on its own, because the entrepreneurship culture in South Africa is not that, it's not that supportive.
True.
There is a lot of red tapes, and I'm talking now in SMMEs, small and medium businesses.
Yeah.
So it is more favorable for big business. And where does this big business sit? It does not. It's not South African owned.
True.
90% of the companies in the JSE are foreign owned.
Yeah, it's because there's fronts. They're fronting. That's why they keep supporting those. But of course, it's a podcast for another day.
Okay.
If you could speak to your younger self when you first got involved in the youth diplomacy, what would you say?
Just start and keep learning. I have no background, or I had no background in international relations whatsoever. My academic background was in commerce.
Wow, me too.
I studied management, finance, entrepreneurship, and at the time, my professional background was in education.
Wow.
I worked in education, NGOs, SAQA and staff and so forth. And I ended up, I found myself in international diplomacy. And I remember my first international trip, it was at the BRICS. And I was sitting in this working group, they were thematic areas. And 90% of the time I said nothing because I didn't know what these guys are talking about.
And
the jargon, the lingo. But I said there, people, if you think people think that I'm going to be stupid, it's your problem. I sat there and I learned. And I came back to South Africa and I started engaging with a lot of people. And essentially, I am where I am today without having to take any class, to take any, to read any book, but just on the job learning experience.
Wow. There's too many of us.
So just start.
Yeah, start.
Never stop learning.
Okay. What legacy do you hope your time leading in the Y20 and related institutions will leave both in South Africa and across Africa?
Look, we are launching the Y20 South Africa Alumni Association. That will be launched officially at the G20 Social Summit in November.
Okay.
And that is the legacy that we will be leaving there. But in that, the Alumni Association, there will be two fundamental programs that we will focus on. The first one is the Leadership Academy. That will focus on educating and training young South Africans and the African youth on G20, BRICS, UN, these multilateral platforms.
Yes.
But we're going to start focusing on G20, the African Union, as well as BRICS. And then we will also have one that is going to focus on policy and research. Because we now want to speak on things that are factual. We need to know what informs what, so that all our policy recommendations are based on informed facts and decisions. So that's the legacy that at least I intend to leave, that as I retire and take a step back from youth in general, there's that Y20 Alumni Association that we're leaving behind for young South Africans in the continent too. In fact, we're discussing with the African Union to be part and parcel of that process.
Yeah.
And once those discussions are settled, then we will also announce that.
So for young listeners, especially those who feel their voices doesn't matter yet, what's one actionable piece of advice would you give to them?
When all of them are combined that we thought they don't matter, they make something big.
A difference, yeah.
So what I want to say is, whichever corner you are, however small that idea is, you must know that it matters. True. And that is your voice. And also, as young, young South Africans or continent, global South, even global North, is be courageous, be bold to raise this one small ideas of yours. Somehow, somewhere, someone is going to hear it.
True.
And that idea that you thought does not matter will find expression in rooms where you never believed it would have been finding expressions in.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was so powerful. I think we should have like a second, episode where we talk about, the Y20 and more, and encouraging us as young people, because I also notice when you're searching G20, it's always you that pops up. But I think while you also hosting the Y20 alumni, you should also have things on the internet to, educate more people that are on social media about the Y20. Then for sure, next year when you guys do it again, or the other year, or in 5 years, we will be more involved and have to say something about it. Thank you so much for actually coming. We had such a great time. And for those who are watching, this is Nepoworx podcast. Thank you so much for watching till this far. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Today, we are talking about everything globally and how the youth is put at the center of international decision making. Yvette Brains, your favorite host, and goodbye.